Hi everyone, you're watching The Art of Save Scumming, and today I've got something a little bit different from the normal gameplay for you guys. I know that you guys are having a great time out there playing Warhammer 3 like I am, but I've been going through the Chronicles of the End Times, and I've got enough information at this point in time to do a couple videos on various characters and what happens to them during the End Times. Before we get started, I understand that Warhammer 3 is not set in the End Times. Got it. However, I think there is some set lore for various characters, and I wanted to explore that and show you guys kind of where it is, particularly if you're not one of those people that likes to do a lot of reading. So for today's video, we're going to be covering Louen Leoncoeur, what happens to Louen Leoncoeur in the end times. And if you guys enjoy this type of content, then I would greatly appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment down below. Remember that I'm pushing to 5,000 subscribers. And if we make it to 5,000 subscribers by early June, then I'll be scheduling live streaming events that you guys get to choose the races of. Without further ado, is Louen Leoncoeur's start position of Couronne thematic for the end times? Yes, it is. And just about any period that you're playing as him, Couronne would be a good starting position. So to understand what's going on in the end times, we have to actually go a little bit behind in the timeline, the end times literature. And what's going on is Louen is the king of Bretonnia, and there's a civil war getting ready to kick off. And the civil war is being headed up by his bastard son, Malabord. Malabord is massing troops in Mousillon, and he's basically gathering any disgraced knights that he can possibly get to his banner. And then some bad stuff happens, and the precipitating event is actually the disappearance of Morgiana, the Fey Enchantress of Carcassonne. And we'll have to do a separate video on what happens to her and why she's missing. If that's something you want to see, then please sound off in the comment section down below. I'll be sure to do that. But just know that she's gone, and she is the main consort of Leoncoeur. And because of that, her disappearance, that is, they are left leaderless, and Carcassonne, the Dukes of Carcassonne, Lyonesse, and Artois all declare for Malabord, and they march on Couronne. Louen ends up spanking them pretty hard for the first several battles. However, Arkan the Black is actually dabbling about in Bretonnia. Now, we'll have to do a separate video on why Arkan the Black is screwing around in Bretonnia, but just know that he's there and he's supporting Malabord. The Civil War ends up coming to a head at the Battle of Quenelles, where Leoncoeur, with a joint army of Bretonnian and Wood Elf reinforcements, fights Malabord. What ends up happening, in a nutshell, is Leoncoeur is wounded in single combat against Malabord. His troops end up losing heart because they think that the king is dead, and they rout. Well, in the dismay and chaos of that rout, Leoncoeur actually survives. And while his armies are routed, he finds his way over a period of time back up. And in that time, some other events happen. Malabord is killed, and the Green Knight becomes the king of Bretonnia at Couronne. So the whole banner of Bretonnia is united underneath the Green Knight as the true king of Bretonnia, and Louen Leoncoeur is appointed to the position of High Paladin. Okay, so that's that. Now to get the next sense of the picture, we need to talk about the Empire. Just know that the Empire is being invaded by the ruinous powers. They are moving south, and ultimately they come to threaten Altdorf. I have to do a complete separate video on how that all happens, and if that's something you guys want to see, then I'll absolutely do it. Let me know below. Louen Leoncoeur becomes aware that the ruinous powers are going to concentrate their force at Sigmar's city, and he decides that it is better to use combined arms between Bretonnia and the Empire to try to fight the ruinous powers here instead of on Bretonnian soil. It's a pretty good move. It's a preemptive strike. Makes a whole lot of sense. He gathers his strength and brings the army over the Pale Ladies, or the Pale Sisters. They call it the Pale Ladies in the book, but I think it's technically the Pale Sisters. I'm sure that there's some syntax there that it's totally fine. But anyway, he brings his army through here. He actually encounters a few things along his way. The powers of Nurgle that have infected the region have choked this pass pretty sizably, so that it's nearly impossible to pass. And I think it's very thematic that they have this this greenskin faction here, because he does fight greenskins in the mountains. They're actually fleeing from the chaos powers that are moving down here. They're really not a match for the Bretonnian army whatsoever. They're really just kind of running scared, and the Bretonnians kind of just run them down. They also recruit some Pegasus while they're up there, and some Griffins. So just keep that in mind. They come out of the mountains, as far as I can tell from reading the books, on this side of Marienburg. They don't pass through Marienburg, so that only leads me to believe that they come out of the mountains over in this region over here. It doesn't mention Fort Berbriz or anything like that, so I'm assuming they come out in this region here. They then make their way over to Altdorf. And while in Altdorf, there's a few things going on that you need to know. Festus, over here, is actually inhabiting the sewers of Altdorf. And he's in the process of summoning a whole bunch of bad stuff. But among those, one of the things that he is summoning is actually Kugath Plaguefather, the greater demon of Nurgle. Louen Leoncoeur and his army arrive almost simultaneously with a supporting army from Vlad von Karstein, who has also decided that he is going to play a role in the fall of Altdorf, if you will, actually fighting on behalf of the Empire. So that's a completely separate video, again, that will have to be done, but just know that those are the players. We have Leoncoeur, we have Vlad von Karstein, we have Festus, and we have Kugath. There is also Karl Franz. He is missing in action at this point in time, but he will make an appearance. So just keep in mind that Karl Franz actually is not at Altdorf for the fall of Altdorf, or at least the majority of the fall of Altdorf. And that's a completely separate video again. So sorry about that. Louen Leoncoeur shows up, and he ends up becoming engaged in a battle with Kugath Plaguefather. And the battle is pretty evenly matched until Leoncoeur is cast a jar of holy water by one of the maidens of Shalia. Having already wounded Kugath Plaguefather substantially, pours the remainder of the jar of holy water onto Kugath's wounds, causing him to kind of melt away. And then Louen Leoncoeur stabs Kugath Plaguefather in the heart, and it's not completely clear. It says it a couple different ways, but we are led to believe that Kugath Plaguefather is permanently destroyed. It says that he is banished to the Chaos Waste, but then Festus shows up and says that he's actually dead. So you can interpret that however you want to, but I interpret that as Louen Leoncoeur actually permanently killed the demon. So that said, a battle ensues between Leoncoeur and Festus. And for lack of a better way to say it, Leoncoeur gets his ass kicked. And he ends up being killed by Festus. So Louen Leoncoeur meets his demise on the Temple of Shalia's grounds in the city of Altdorf at the hands of Festus. If you found this information compelling or interesting, then please sound off in the comment section down below. If you have a particular character that you would like to know the fate of in the end times and you don't have the time to read, then sound off in the comment section down below. And as I get to that information, then I will be sure to prioritize that video for you. Thank you again for watching the Art of Save Scumming, and we'll see you on a future video. Regularly scheduled gameplay content coming your way next.